we can have this conversation broadcasted. I don't think you two have met, but Charity, I told you yesterday about Michelle. Michelle's company works with Secondlaw, and they do global immigration. So she's an advisor. So any country to any country, she's our person to give some perspective.
Oh, very nice. That's exciting. Right.
So we'll wait.
I'll close the 800 things I have open.
How's it going for you, Michelle?
It's good. It's, you know, global immigration is very slow. I'm sure the US is similar in some areas. So we're quieter than usual. But, you know, there's still questions and there's still things happening. Lots of questions on whether somebody can travel or not, you know, how soon they can travel, when things might open back up. So we're feeling a lot of those right now. Keeps us busy somewhat.
So what is the top destination? What is a choice that's still open for people right now? I know I personally this.
Yeah, so actually the UK and Ireland are one of the two that really have the least amount of restrictions when it comes to entry. Formally, they're still permitting entry for visitors, work permit applicants, you know, relos. They're very still, borders are still very wide open in that regard. They're still processing immigration applications, so they're a really good option in one sense of the word, you know, if someone needs to go somewhere. The only tricky part would be that most of their consular processing has been suspended for right now. And so that's something that, you know, if you're going as a visitor and you don't already have a visitor visa and you need one, well, then that's not going to work right now.
Just for perspective, and we're still waiting for one more panelist. Hi, Ify, welcome.
Hi.
We're
Hello.
introduced and talking, so feel free to jump in while we wait for one more person. But just
okay.
as perspective, as the immigration actual processing of cases shut down in any other country that you know of?
Yeah, so actually for Switzerland, they have suspended immigration processing, all immigration processing until June 15th. So it started on March 15th and they chose 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, they're not just visitor visas, I mean, their consulates are closed as far as consular processing goes for visa applications. And then internally, they have also closed down any processing of, you know, non-critical, I mean, anything related to if there was a doctor or something that needed to come over related to the crisis, they would support with that. But any work permit applications, residence permit applications, anything else, they've suspended processing on. So that's kind of that's a big one right now.
Yeah. So we just started by kind of just saying hi. This was usually what we do when it's not broadcasted, but we figured we'll be online so you can get to know people. We're waiting for another speaker. That was Michelle, who was just talking. She's an international immigration advisor. We have Charity from AILA, an attorney and a practice advisor. And we have Ify. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
That's Ify. You said it right the first time.
Oh, I corrected myself then. So tell us a little bit about how all of this is affecting you and how you're working.
Oh, for me, well, I'm from Nigeria to begin with. So immigration in Nigeria has definitely been stopped. There's a lot of the travel ban here. People can't go in and out of Nigeria. So, and my client base, a lot of them are African. And so I've kind of had like a little bit of trouble getting people to still have hope in the immigration system, because it seems like with all the bans and the extensions of the bans and adding all the countries, you know, there's no hope for some of these people. And yeah, so it's just, I'm thinking of another area of law. I actually want to go into like family law or something, because those are the types of issues coming up more than even immigration issues in this COVID-19 situation. So that's how it's been.
Let's start with something positive, and then we'll get into immigration so we can answer some questions. I'm curious to know what brought you guys to immigration? What inspired you to enter the immigration field of law? Because it's not an easy one. We know it's an emotionally tough area of law to be in, and it's an ever-changing area of law to be in. And what's happening right now is the risk of what could happen in this practice. So, what inspired you to go into immigration?
Well, I can start. For me, it's just, for one, just being an immigrant and going through the process with my family. I came in with my mom and dad on a religious visa, and, you know, it took years and years for us to go through getting our green card and our citizenship and all that. And I saw everything that went into it. And I had other friends who had trouble getting their papers. And, you know, I was just interested in helping. I think it's just starting from the interest in other people's affairs and wanting to help them in immigration. As an immigrant, you're around a lot of other immigrants. And that's one of the topics we talk about, you know, how can I get my papers? And so, you know, I started figuring out ways. And I always wanted to go to law school. So when I went to law school, I just decided, you know, that would definitely be one of the areas I would practice, you know. So that's how it started.
That's great. So personal story, you're inspired by your own story,
Mm-hmm.
your own experience. How about you, Michelle?
Well, I'm not an immigration attorney, but as far as being in the, you know, legal immigration field, I think for me, it was more just, I kind of fell into the role. I previously had worked at Fragaman, and I was really interested in just global relations and the legal field to some extent, but I did not want to go to law school. And so I was looking for something that would kind of get me, you know, the best of both worlds in that regard. And I just grew to love it. I think it's because I do global immigration. I just love, you know, being able to help people navigate the uncertainty around, you know, moving to another country from an immigration perspective. And it's so, you know, it's so complex, right? So I just love being able to kind of strategize with them and get in the weeds and kind of try and help explain it to them in a way that makes sense. And I just grew to love it and stuck with it.
That's great. I think Charity fell off, but I'm an immigrant myself too. I moved here to the US when I was about 15 or 16. So I was kind of grown up, and I didn't know I was going to end up in immigration. When I passed the bar and I was still in school getting my LLMs, I started getting some questions and people needing help. So I started just helping on the side, and it turned into a practice, and it built on from referrals from there. So I think it's just the personal connection that kept me in it and understanding the story. But Michelle's story is really interesting because it is an area of law that law students can help in, and it's an alternative way of career for people who didn't go to law school.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the US side a little bit. Ify, I see your social media, and I was so impressed by how much information you're sharing and how active you are. I want to ask you and Michelle both to share the most common questions that you're getting right now, and what are your main tips for people? Let's start with that, because I know there's people here who have actual legal questions and not just lawyers. So let's start with the most common themes of problems and questions, and we'll go from there.
Questions. Well, for me, what I got last week was from students, people on F1 student visas. So there's there's different types of problems. One of the questions was, I'm done with school, I have my OPT, and I can't work because obviously everywhere is closed and there's nowhere hiring per se. And one of the questions was whether she would have to go back to her country or what she would have to do to not get out of status, because once you qualify for your OPT and you don't work within 90 days, you can definitely lose that, and that affects your F1 status. And so that's one of the questions coming up. And then another student is also pretty much, everyone's trying to figure out how to work and make money because their status is so limited, and the places where they could once work, they can't work anymore because everything is now remote. And it's just all that types of questions. Those are the two I've gotten recently.
So I see Charity and Jacob are on. Welcome, Jacob. I'm
How are
excited.
you?
And I got worried
Yeah.
for a second.
I didn't see the link.
So we started with everyone introducing themselves, and I think I am personally curious to see what inspired you two to get into immigration. Charity has a different story. I'll let Charity tell hers, but Jacob, what inspired you to become an immigration lawyer?
Well, there was nothing else to do back then. I'm just kidding. So my original plan was to, I'm from Israel, you can hear by my accent. So I came to the US, about 20 years ago to study law, to do my LLM. And my focus was going to be on music copyrights, like copyrights of internet rights of music. And I was working for a company that we did an internship. And that was really where the whole tech collapsed. And so it was very difficult to find a job in that space. And so my first job was with a firm that did immigration and estate planning. It was kind of an international practice. They were helping physicians secure their assets. And so that's how I started. And I worked there for a year. And as soon as I got my green card, I started my own firm. And my biggest focus is business immigration, and we are heavily using social media. We work with a lot of YouTubers and Instagram influencers, and helping them move to the US. That's kind of my specialty. And I like the fact that it's federal. That's my biggest draw to the practice, that I can be anywhere and just practice anywhere. So that's what I like about it.
And your clients can be anywhere.
And our clients can be anywhere. And we get to travel. I love to travel. If you see my Instagram, you can see that I'm never at the office. But that's kind of the thing. We can see our clients in wherever they are, and we can help them achieve their goals by moving their people, or there are different specialties. Like our firm right now does everything, but my personal specialty is business immigration. But we do family, we do asylum, we do pretty much everything. It's a boutique firm in San Diego.
We'll come back to what you talked about social media and also this business of law. I think these 2 points are really interesting to dig down to. But Charity.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm having internet issues here. Sorry about that. Yeah, sometimes when a storm rolls in through Baltimore, it gets a little funky, and I'm working from home like many of you. And it went down for a minute there. So I actually did estate planning, probate, and family law when I was in practice for 5 years. It was good, but it wasn't great. And I looked at some of my colleagues and what they loved, and they were passionate about the law, and they had these deep feelings about it, and I was not. And I thought, what do I want to do? And I had also been teaching people to take the bar exam and loved that, and had a hard time doing my real job that paid real money instead of this other job that paid hardly anything. And I thought, how can I do this 100% of the time? And that's how I ended up doing this work. And I've been doing this work for 7.5 years. And it was like I stumbled into my dream job. And so the message there is, if you're not liking what you're doing, look at it and see what you can do differently. Now my passion, my interest is what lawyers are doing and whether they're succeeding at what they're doing. And I'd go on Oprah and talk about my dream job. It's the best job in the world. So as you know, I'm at American Immigration Lawyers Association in the Practice and Professionalism Center, and I spend all day with y'all trying to help you figure out your practice issues. That's what I do. And I'm really busy right now doing it.
Right.
Well, we thank you for being there for us, because I always have questions. I never know, it's changing every day. So definitely need you guys.
Definitely changing every day now. Yeah.
When they say it, actually, it really takes a tribe. It really does. And we have to do it all together. Like this panel is a great representation of help me, help you. So charity is here to help you guys, and you're here to help answer questions for people. And I think the advantage of this remote work for a lot of professionals, especially us in this smaller sectors and law practitioners, it's a great way to build kind of the team that you wouldn't usually have. So let's get to the good stuff. Jacob, let's start with social media and what you're doing. I've been following you for a while. I saw your Instagram. I see your YouTube that's really active. It's not common in this space, especially not in law, business development, and this type of brand building and PR and lead generation is not a huge part of lawyers' businesses. How did you start, and what's your approach to it? I see you're sharing a lot of current events and a lot of news that are helpful tips. Tell us a little bit about that strategy, and then tell us the most common questions you're getting right now from clients.
Right. So, for me, I've always been kind of attracted to social media, and we've evolved over the years. We even have like a blog that we help other attorneys do marketing. It's called enchantinglawyer.com, which is kind of a weird name, but it's what it is. And so I started with blogging back in 2004. So we had one of the first blogs specifically focused on immigration, where we were literally posting 5-6 times a day. Well, literally it was just me when I just started my firm. So I had no clients. So I had nothing else to do. I would just do my blog. And within, I would say 3 months of the blog started, I started getting, one day I got a call from Fox News, and they said, can you speak to Jacob? And at that point, I was still answering my own phone. I answered the phone, I'm like, I thought it was a mistake. So basically, I asked them, how did they find me? And they were reading my blog. And back then, blogging was not as saturated as it is today. So over the years, we started doing that. And then as blogging became popular with attorneys, I started looking for other sources of traffic. And for me, the next step was Facebook. So I started trying to understand how Facebook can work. And I'm talking about 2012. Facebook was not very common for attorneys back then. And what I decided to do, instead of posting legal information on Facebook, I just was sharing behind the scenes of what's happening in the firm, what's happening in my life on our business page, not on my personal page, on our business page. And it started kind of growing, and people liked that more. And we had a very, very big following on Facebook. I was actually one of the first attorneys to have access to Facebook Live before it became available as what it is now. We were part of a testing beta of a bunch of people. I was one of the few attorneys that did that. And so back then, when I did live in 2014, nobody had live. So imagine 1,000 people go on your live. You know what I mean? It's crazy, because Facebook wanted people to see live. And so they're pushing your content. And I was getting people that, And so when Facebook became saturated, I moved to Instagram. And Instagram is one of my favorite platforms. Again, I had to change. Instagram wasn't like Facebook. Instagram for me was more about visual photos and strong captions, but still people knew I was an attorney. So and Instagram is more of a DM kind of, so people will send you a private message. A lot of our media clients come from Instagram. So we have a lot of clients that are in the film industry, YouTubers, Instagram influencers. They will find us on Instagram, will send me a DM, and that's how we connect with them. And so Instagram has been saturated as well. And about 3 months ago, I started doing TikTok. Have you heard of TikTok?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So TikTok has been a huge lead generation for us. And I could not believe it. Right now, I have about 85,000 followers in 2 months. And I got verified about a month ago. And TikTok invited me to go to TikTok in LA. And I'm part of their creators think tank right now. And so so TikTok is basically, they want to get away from the dances and the lip syncing, and they want to be kind of like the YouTube. So there's a lot of opportunity right now. There's about 5 immigration attorneys there right now that I've seen. And I mean, this is basically what I do. I do a TikTok video. I get 50,000 views, and I'll tell them in the video join my private Facebook group. I did a test actually. I started a Facebook group about 2 weeks ago because of COVID-19. And I said, come to my Facebook group. And literally in a week and a half, we have 2,100 members in that group.
Nice.
And basically all we do in that group is share information. And at the end of my, I do a live every other day. And I'll tell them, book a consultation, it's $75. Usually I charge 500. And literally, I mean, we've been getting consultations every day, 15 to 20 consultations a day, just from that. So TikTok is definitely the future. And if you're not on TikTok, you have to go there. And so, yeah, so that's how we do it.
I'm
So,
on here, but I just don't use it as much as you do.
You have to
I'm
use it.
hearing what I'm hearing. Yeah, what I'm hearing is like you're using these things.
to
I'm
use
on every social
once you
media.
start using it, it just becomes natural. You just do a video. You don't have to do anything crazy. You know, I don't do crazy stuff. I just did a few lip syncing, but I don't dance or anything. But I'll do a voice, and I'll do like a facts, like you know, I did a video that was facts on healthcare workers. That video was shared by Bernie Sanders' campaign. They took my TikTok and they put it on their page. It was unbelievable. You know what I mean? So TikTok is definitely, but no matter what you do, the reason I like social media is because it's the only way you can literally explode your marketing without spending too much money. Because you can spend money on PPC, you can spend money on Facebook ads, you can spend money on billboards or whatever. But once you start doing methodical social media campaign, which involves everybody in the office. So we have 30 people working in our firm. Every single person in that firm has to be on social media at some point. So whether they're going to share a post, whether they're going to do a video behind the scenes, they're going to DM a client, everything happens inside the ecosystem of the firm. They're being trained internally how to do that, because every single member of the firm becomes like an evangelist for the firm, no matter where they are. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how we do it. And so for us, this crisis really didn't affect us at all, because on the contrary, we had to hire more people because we're getting so many calls where people are, you know, every time I posted, I'll give you an example. I posted a video yesterday on YouTube and I posted a screenshot. The video has 31,000 views, 105 comments as of an hour ago, and 55 consultations paid in 24 hours. Just that one video. And the video was simple. I just said an update about USCIS office closures, live update, and that's it. A simple 4-minute video. My son filmed it. And this video resulted in 55 consultations, $75 each. You know what I mean? So it's just, the idea is that why is social media so important in the crisis? And I was speaking before personal injury attorneys 2 weeks ago. Everybody's complaining, the courts are closed, this is closed. And I told them, listen, this is the best time right now for you to be out there educating people and calming them down, and instead them coming to you as an expert, right? So on YouTube right now, there's 5 immigration attorneys who do videos once a week, twice a week. That's it, just 5, right? How many members are in AILA? 3,000, right?
15,000.
3,000, right?
15,000.
15,000. There's only 5 of them who do videos every single week. I'm one of them, right? And so when Trump announced the executive order, I went and did a live stream, literally 30 minutes after it was announced. I had 1,500 people on that live, 1,500 people. And I sent them to my consultation link, and 150 of them booked a $75 consultation, which means I made all this money in overnight, just because, I mean, these consultations were, and that comes back to the questions. There are questions about, will I be impacted? Will my husband be able to attend this interview? I'm a DV visa lottery. Many DV lottery people are questioning, don't know what to do. And parents of US citizens who are stuck abroad. These were all the questions. And they basically wanted to have a consultation. So, you know, all the attorneys at our firm block their time to have consultations because nobody's telling people anything, right? So the people who are on YouTube giving that information are the ones that are getting the attention, and eventually, you know, you can convert their business. Because what happens with those leads, we send them into an automation. So they get an email from me every single day, right? We send an email every day. Every day there's an email from the firm. One email is about my story when I came as an immigrant. The second email is about an update. The third email will be about what you have to know. Nobody complains if we send them email every day. And if somebody complains, I send them to the unsubscribe. It says, if you look at the email at the bottom, it says unsubscribe. I don't want to receive any more updates. I don't want to be informed about my immigration future anymore. Click yes or no, right? That's how we do. So in my mind, I think social media is scary because you have to be out there, right? I'm always there. Like people know everything. I mean, I don't share personal stuff. Nobody knows about my kids. There's not a single picture of my kids on my social and stuff like that. But I'll share like behind the scenes. I mean, that's pretty much the only way that we can do it because right now, advertising it's just weird because nobody wants to spend money, right? The only way people want to work with you right now is they feel that two things. First of all, that you care about them. And second of all, that you know something that can make them feel better in this day and age where everything else is collapsing around them, right?
You know, Jacob, it's everything you bring up is so relevant right now. And a lot of it comes down to not treating your law practice as a business. This is 101 for lead generation. To have to buy the leads and do SEO is expensive, and it's just so many years ago. Now, any successful business, the most successful businesses are the ones who are sharing content, who are bringing something of value without trying to make a buck off of it. And this is so anti the legal industry. The legal industry thrives on recycling the same information to keep earning revenue. And they think to do that, it has to be secretive. It's not true. It's your opportunity to share a little bit of knowledge that is free. It's coming out of your mouth. Your reputation is what gives that money the value. Your degree, your practice, and your results, your follow through of that is what makes you worth the money. So share this content and give people knowledge. Do the consults, answer the questions without trying to trick them into signing a contract. All of this comes back later on. And I also do business law, so I'm in the same boat as you. I don't practice all that much anymore, but I specialize in extraordinary talent. And it's the relationship that you build with your client that turned into something bigger, because those clients have now turned into my tax and business clients on retainer, on a monthly retainer as outside GC or something like that, because you got to know them, you brought their business, you helped them with gathering all of the paperwork, you taught them the basic law of how to build a business, and now you have them. And the lifetime value of that client and the lifetime relationship that you build is worth so much more than thinking, let me not put that content out. So if anybody's going to try anything crazy. Oh, and the second part that I think attorneys don't share content is fear of the advertising rules of the state bars. That's a huge concern for everyone to do anything or post anything. But those fears have to go away. This is the new way of living, and if a few posts will generate you these many leads without having to spend any marketing dollars, you're the brand. So take charge of your firm, share the content, do crazy things like TikTok that you're doing. I mean, if you're going to do anything crazy, this is the time to do it, because everybody's doing crazy things and no one's going to judge you. So you don't have to have this fear of what's going to happen to me or they're going to laugh at me. Just put it out there, and if you're that kind of a person, go delete it later. But test it for yourself. Maybe, I mean, unless you're very like uncharismatic and you're cursing at people, even then I think that's going to bring you people who are interested in watching you curse and talking to someone crazy. But it just works. You have to share a piece of yourself. It brings me back to the personal stuff that I want to talk to you guys about. That's why I ask the purpose, because if you have a purpose and if you're passionate about what you do, these are just other ways to do the same thing and add to your passion, and you'll enjoy it. But if it's just a job and you think, oh, I have to, record a post about immigration law, kill me now, then this practice isn't for you. You're not going to survive through this. Neither is your practice. Sorry for my long lecture, but I have this conversation about innovation and technology all the time, more so than I'm connected with immigration clients anymore. I talk to lawyers, and these are big problems in the perception and practice of law that are so easily resolved. And the effect of it is seen in the crowd, because that one tip that you posted, for example, Jacob, it could answer a question for someone that, I don't know, it could change their life.
Exactly.
So if you have any more tips of social media or TikTok or something like that that you want to share with attorneys, I know I'm curious to learn and hear.
Yeah, you know, so for example, I have this attorney that contacted me, and I was doing some coaching with her, nothing to do with her social media. It was more about, she was having problems to basically scale her firm from 2 or 3 people to, she wanted to be like 10 people. Because, I always tell people there's a difference between having a firm of up to 5 people, 10 people, 15, 20, and 30. There's a different things that you have to do in different mindsets. So we were talking about that. And then she says, you know what? I want to start doing some social media. And I said, well, why don't you go choose something and start doing it? And I said, the best thing you can do right now, the best impact you'll see in TikTok. Because if you're going to start doing Instagram right now, it's going to take you years to get anywhere, because Instagram right now is not showing anything. Your posts are being hidden because it's just the algorithm is messed up. And the same thing with Facebook. Unless you pay for ads, nobody's going to see it. So I said, why don't you go to TikTok? And she's kind of like a shy person. And I said, just talk about what you know, just hold the camera. And she's been doing it for a month. And she called me the other day and she's like, oh my God, I got 5 consults today from this stupid video I did the other day. And it's just sitting there. You know what I mean? So you never know. It doesn't cost anything. It's 15 seconds to a minute. And I think, not that I encourage people to go more immigration attorneys on TikTok. I don't need the competition. But I think it's a good platform to try it. But honestly, the best platform is YouTube. YouTube is the #1 platform right now. If you're going to invest anything, it's going to be YouTube. And the reason is because YouTube is like Google, obviously. It is Google. So when somebody's doing a search right now for, let's say, I don't know, H-1B self-employment, or some of the key terms that we rank high, they'll see my videos and all the other articles. And the same thing for anybody who wants to be found. People find my videos and they'll call the office and they're like, when I answer the phone, they are basically on a pause. They don't believe that I answer the phone to talk to them. They don't believe that I'm on the call with them because they've seen my videos and they think that I'm some kind of, you know what I mean? That's the impact of video, because they think you're somebody, wow, he's talking to me as on video. I saw him on YouTube and now he's calling me. So it is that powerful where you can actually have a very strong retention. And especially now, there's so much to talk about. Like there's the closure of the offices and the mixed families issues. They don't give them the stimulus. And then there is the issue with unemployment. Who gets unemployment? So many questions. People call the office. Who gets unemployment? The people call and says, watch his video and then call back. You know what I mean? So there's no end to content right now. The question is, are you able to do, let me show you the setup. It's one of my studios at home. So I have this, I have the light. I have a studio, small setup in everywhere I am, like at the office, at home. You can see I have my lights here, here. We have the light here. These are special lights that are controlled from the computer. And I can control the dimming of this. It's like a whole setup here on my thing, and I can control the dimming from the computer. We have a voice, microphones connected here.
Just for everyone, just for everyone who will watch this and the attorneys who see this, you don't have to have the setup that you have.
No, of course not.
Of course, your results have been proven and you've reinvested to grow, but we don't have to have this to start. Like, don't think about to go invest in all of these lights and microphones and blah, blah, blah. Put a lamp, like I have a lamp next to my monitor right now, and that's my lighting. That's okay. They have these clips that you can get on Amazon for like a few bucks if it's about, or just go sit outside. But
yeah, you just need one light, like this, something like this. It's not expensive, like something like this. You can carry it in your bag and just face it and put it in your face, and then you're good to go.
The thing about innovation is you can't think things through that hard. It's the whole point about innovation is A/B testing. So if you have a thought, just do it and see if it works. Like make a post, use the hashtags, watch the insight, and if it works, then think, all right, now I'll post twice a week. Now I'll post 3 times a week. Now I will get a better camera. Now I need to clean behind me. It's not an overnight thing. Nobody becomes a star overnight. People work really hard, and this is the same way. It's about the consistency that keeps people there and keeps bringing people back.
Yeah, and for example, that video that I did yesterday, I shot it with my phone. It wasn't a camera at all, because we didn't have the camera at home at that point. And I just used my iPhone, and that's it. It was good enough to make it work. So, like you said, it's about, do you want to do it? Are you gonna commit yourself to do videos once a week if you can? If you can do it once a week, at least twice a month on YouTube, that's very important. And you'll see. I mean, I can guarantee if you do videos twice a month for within 60 days, you'll see an amazing impact on your practice, because you're going to start getting those calls from people that suddenly found you on YouTube. Like, you know what, I want to have a consultation, and so yeah, so definitely, if I would do anything right now, 2020, the crisis, I would do YouTube as #1 investment in just to help people get your name out there. All these other things like Instagram, TikTok, and all that, these are very helpful as well, but nothing like the impact of YouTube, because that's SEO that stays there forever. And also, for example, a lot of the media. So in the past the past week, I was on maybe 7 news stories. And the way those reporters found me is through YouTube. They saw my videos, they call me and says, "Hey, Jacob, can you comment on this story?" So these are stories from San Diego, from Los Angeles, from Connecticut, from New Jersey. It's not just local, And then the same people that I connected with, I keep their contact. And whenever there's a story, I send them an email or a text and say, "Hey," so for example, the story about the fact that people that are not able to get their oath ceremonies rescheduled before October are not going to be able to vote in the elections. So I tweeted this, I texted it to 4 reporters, and I said, don't you think it's kind of intentional that they won't let these people get citizenship before the elections? Almost 500,000 people are not going to be able to vote. Don't you think it's kind of a plan by the administration? It's a good story, right? And so 2 of them picked up the story and they ran with it, and it was in the news, and it became, other news outlets used the same idea, and they wrote a story about it, which I think it's true, actually. I think it's intentional. They could have done a Zoom oath ceremony. They could have done a Zoom so that's beside the point. But keeping, in addition to social media, having an idea of who am I going to reach out to in the media to tell them tips, and maybe one of them is going to, because once you're in the media, that's another exposure that you don't get usually. Like, why would somebody write about you when there's no crisis? Now there's a crisis, you provide them the story. They need you as much as you need them. You know what I mean? So for us, the media has been a very good ally, because I will not only be on YouTube, but then I'm also on mainstream media, and it kind of all comes together and people see me everywhere. And that's really the only way to do it. And again, everybody has a different personality. Everybody has a different, way of doing things. You don't have to force yourself to be on video every single day. But what you'd have to do is say, you know what, at least twice a month, I will produce videos. And that's part of my marketing. You know what I mean? It's a habit.
So I want to point out, just on the sentence that you ended on, this approach, again, is not for everybody. As you're talking, Jacob, and I'm getting to know you, and I think other people are thinking the same, is it works for your personality because you're always coming from a place of giving something, and of giving something of value, and you're really investing in your relationships. And it's a very admirable quality to learn, and a skill to implement for a lot of attorneys, but it is coming more naturally for you, and
But you know what? I have a question. So I've been on a few of these, we do like these little masterminds with different immigration attorneys. I had one for attorneys that are just on Instagram. And the last time we did that, I asked them this question, like, what are the biggest challenges that immigration attorneys having right now? And every group that I talk to has a different answer. So I'm curious, like, maybe, each one of you can say, what are some of your challenges? And I'm curious to know, to hear it, maybe.
Dobrina just joined, so let's have you have a moment to get introduced, and then we can start going down the line from Charity, Dobrina, Ify, and Michelle, and get everybody's opinion. That's a really good question.
Sure, yeah, sorry for being late. I thought that the webinar was tomorrow, but glad that I was able to join. Hi, everybody. I'm in Dallas, Texas, and obviously working from home right now, although our state is reopening, I don't know, I think on Friday or some craziness like that. So most of my practice, I personally focus on employment-based immigration, and with focus on extraordinability. And then we also have some deportation defense and family practice as well. So, so what was the question?
What are some of the biggest challenges that you're facing right now in your practice?
So right now, the biggest challenge is obviously since we have sort of split, employment-based and family side, non-payment is a big challenge right now for the, court cases, because obviously with court now we have rescheduled court for like 2023, 2024. And once the clients see that, they're like, oh, we don't have to pay. So that's one issue on that side. On the employment-based side, right now with the cap, the H-1B cap, and generally the employment-based, obviously some employers now are not willing to continue the process due to the obviously the COVID crisis, because they just don't know how things will work out, and when at work some had to downsize and so forth. So those are the two main challenges that at least I'm facing right now.
Okay.
Erdi, what are you hearing at AILA? What are some issues that people are having, and what are a couple of good tips and advice for immigration attorneys?
Sure, thanks. Well, I'm glad that y'all are talking about money, because I do think that we're starting to hear that there's a drop in business for folks that are really paying attention to their incoming business and their pipeline. I'm hearing drops of between 40 to 80%. I think that depends on their focus. I think that some are still struggling with getting used to the changing systems of working remotely and managing staff remotely. Immigration attorneys are often they hire and they do delegate better than a lot of other practice areas, but they're not always remote, right? It's a very paper-based system, and so I think that the government's clinging to paper has caused the attorneys to use paper heavily, more so than some other practice areas. And so now I think with the requirement to work remotely, it's sort of shot the holes into that old ideal of paper systems. And it's made some of them look at their digitization with more, I don't know, I'm hoping more zeal. I'm concerned about the financial issues because I don't know how long this is going to last. And I started realizing yesterday that just because we decide that we're going to open up a state, I don't think it's just going to open up. I don't think that when you open the retail stores and the restaurants, everybody's going to be like, oh, goody, I'm going back. And so I think that there's going to be some reticence and some changing in our culture about how we interact. And I think that we're still figuring out what that's going to mean for us. And I do think that there will be a sort of lack of business. So what I hear in what Jacob, one of the things that I like about what you're doing is you're connecting everything that you're talking about to the crisis right now. You're saying, what do you need to know about the pandemic related to your immigration, and doing it in a place where people are looking now. And I think the reality is that people are going to be looking online more than they used to. And what I'm hearing from some attorneys is that the people that are hurting the most are ones that don't have an online presence. And the ones that are doing better are the ones that are really built out that real estate, because it's a different real estate from what some attorneys use. So I think that's the right direction to be looking. I think you do want to be looking at your collections, maybe collecting more money up front, maybe changing the process of how it is that you stay in contact with your clients and expect payment at certain points and know where it is that they are, because a lot of them are going to lose jobs. Right? A lot of them are going to lose jobs. And I didn't think of this issue of delays making them go, I guess I don't have to pay now. That's frustrating. I have to brainstorm on that. The other thing, and this is I don't want to get too dark, but I do want to encourage everyone to think about, if you don't have a succession plan, getting something down. Because I am starting to get calls of people going into the hospital with COVID-19 in firms, and one death that I've heard of so far. And the truth is even if you survive having this virus, you're out of commission for longer than if you have the flu. So you'd have to resolve what is going to happen to your cases for 3 to 4 weeks at least, probably. And we have this added issue of maybe there's contagion, and you're like, what are you doing? Are you sticking them outside the door so that people can come and get the files? I mean, think through these things now and write a letter about where all the files are and who can help and who they need to contact right now. And I'd even have your associates do it, because they might have files at home, which is not normal, right? Just start thinking about those contingencies, because it could happen. It could happen in your firm, and you don't want to be completely blindsided. You want to try and kind of have some plan in place. That's what I'm starting to see. I'm also, always incredibly impressed with how resilient attorneys are and how quick on your feet you are. I'm like, that's one of my favorite parts. Even though this is a dark time, y'all pick it up and keep going. And that's sort of delightful to see. So
that's a great tip. I personally didn't know that when you said that, and a light bulb went off, because it's the same thinking process that you have for estate planning. And with everything that's happening right now, you want to get that in order, make sure you have a will, and all of your matters are dealt with just in case, and you have a healthcare directive in place. And this is just one more thing to add of what do you want to happen to your clients, or where their things are, because it's for their benefit. Okay, going down the list, guys, volunteer and take this question of your difficulties and challenges that you're facing in your firms or your practice right now.
I think for me, first of all, non-payment was an issue because I do a lot of family-based. I'm just hearing all of you all, and it's so different for me because I'm dealing with families in a smaller type setting as opposed to like business immigration. So obviously many of them, could not pay. And then I think my major issue is because that I do mostly family-based. I'm not really getting clients. So I'm listening to Jacob. I'm like, wow, where are all these people? Because in my practice, they weren't there. But then again, that's probably because I wasn't, using the social media like he was, because I'm just talking to them privately. I don't even know what topics to bring up, like to talk with them about, because.
Can I interrupt you for a second just to add something? This conversation is really interesting just to brainstorm and understand what opportunities remain with the current policies in place, because granted it's for 60 days, but we don't know that. We don't know if it's for 60 days. And let's break down and talk about kind of what areas are limited right now, which I think you're getting into, of which areas are slowing down or affected, and where opportunities created by this. Because with this economic impact, anything in kind of the investment arena and any money coming into the country, those areas are open and there's still opportunity there, not just for immigration attorneys, but of course for people who still want to move to the US or chase something here. So let's go back, explain in your own words, because I know you posted about this, a video of how does this, like what areas are affected by this current policy, and a little bit of tips. Let's brainstorm together where to go from here.
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Okay, what areas I have of law? Okay, the areas of immigration. Well, I know for a fact that visas, people who do visas and family immigration, for example, because you're not allowed to immigrate into the U.S. So if someone like me who's dealing with family based, if I'm not allowed, even if we mail it out, they're not going to process it because you know, you just can't immigrate right now. So that area for sure is affected. And that was pretty much the area that I used to do. I can see student visas being affected too,
You can
because
still file I-130s though. You can file the I-130s. By the time you get to the interview, the ban is going to be over. So you can still get
well,
them.
I mean, but we don't know. For someone, I'm from Nigeria, so for
Yeah.
dealing with Nigerians, there's already an additional ban,
Sure.
which had already started affecting me before COVID even started, because immigrants from that country just can't come in. So it's like some cases that were in between, and then the public charge rule too. So it's kind of like, you know, you have to figure things out before you file things, because people who were once eligible are no longer eligible. And since it's just so limited for me personally, that's just the main area I know has been affected. And student visas are affected too, or were affected for the people that were calling me, because either they can't continue classes or they can't start their OPT immediately because they didn't have any employment. So I was thinking of ways to wonder if remote working was going to work for them, stuff like that. So those are the areas that were affected for me. I'm trying to think of what are the areas, but yeah, that's just it. But also what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the topics. I was gonna ask Jacob, like, because sometimes just repeating the same thing over and over again is like, you know, what are the topics to bring up to people who are saying they're not qualified for whatever reason? Maybe they don't make enough, because there's also the public charge rule. These are the things that affect, you know, the adjustment of status. So it's like, what am I going to be telling them? Is like, oh, trying to tell them another topic that they don't even care about. They're just like, how do I qualify? How do I get papers? How do I work? That's what they want to know, you know?
Well, basically, the way you do it and the way I do it is when you do a live video, you don't have to say anything. They ask you the questions and the content is created right there. So when you do a live video on YouTube or Facebook, you start seeing those comments roll on the right side of your screen. You have 20 comments. That's enough for a 45 minutes broadcast. You're done. You just go through all the questions and you answer them. You know what I mean? So you don't have to create any content. You just have to show up. They'll be there to provide the questions. You know, I never prepare for the lives. I don't know what's going to happen. I just show up there and I wait.
And one thing is, like, when you're an expert and you know too much, you're actually not very good at picking out important things that people with no knowledge are interested in knowing. So some of this information that you're saying is repeated constantly. Like, an average person doesn't know the difference between USCIS and filing a petition, adjustment of status, embassy processing, and when the policy specifically has, like, embassies are closed, this is closed, like, you have to analyze, and there's specific knowledge that you have that you can answer those questions or even post about. So I think seeing it from the perspective of clients, like, what are the most common questions they're asking is always a better way of approaching it. Like, what's this preliminary thing they want to know? Not all of these super exceptions that we're coming up with that the administration has no answers for right now.
Right.
So Dobrina, Michelle, Charity, we're coming back to you guys.
So for us, I think the biggest difficulty for us being in the global immigration space is really that keeping up with all the different countries and the travel bans and whether or not certain people can travel, the difference between, you know, for example, Canada, what's considered essential services, what's not, what's considered critical industry, which is a separate category for those that are allowed to enter and work. So that's complex because we deal with, you know, every country outside of the US. I think the most common question we get, or maybe the biggest interest point our clients would have, is how soon they can travel, how soon things are opening up for them to be able to, you know, they have, you know, corporate clients is who we deal with. And so if they have, you know, a project in Ireland that's been paused, they're losing a lot of money, their client in Ireland's unhappy, and they can't send their employees there. So they're wanting to really strategize and understand how soon they can return. So that's really complicated. I mean, there are, you know, specific dates in place for a lot of countries when they're planning on reopening, but that can change, as we've seen in the US. And so that's difficult, you know, to kind of help strategize on reopening with our clients. Maybe from an individual perspective, you know, a lot of individuals, they want to understand how, you know, whether or not, say they have, you know, a common law partner or a family member, and they want to know if, you know, they're being separated for potentially months at a time, and one of them is a citizen, they want to know if their, you know, their partner or, you know, a parent can join them in their home country, which is, you know, very restrictive right now in many countries. So those are kind of the top questions that we're getting, and it's difficult to advise them because things are changing very frequently. And even if there's, you know, formal restrictions in place and very clear laws, how it's interpreted at a border is very variable. So that's difficult to anticipate. You know, we'll tell them something and they potentially be turned away once they get to the border. So we're kind of navigating all of that right now, and it changes every day, honestly.
There's some of the conversations I'm having with my clients too, that like what's considered essential, if they can travel back to the US if they've gone somewhere. And sometimes it's not a question of immigration if their own borders are shut down and there's no flights on. So it's definitely interesting times and interesting ways of dealing with clients, because all you can say is, I truly don't know, not enough information has been released, we're just monitoring it, we'll keep you updated. And sometimes that's all you can do. As lawyers, we always want to fix people's problems and solve the problems right then. And with this, there's so many other circumstances involved that are completely outside of our control. I mean, in a normal way, USCIS is outside of our control, but right now it's also as attorneys to get comfortable with not knowing. And I think emotionally it takes a toll when you know so many people are suffering, and these are people that you've worked with who are calling you and who are affected. And you're already going yourself personally through this pandemic. So that part of it is something that's on my mind a lot, that just thinking about them and understanding that there's everybody else in my position, attorneys too, they're going through this. So with that, do you guys have any success stories right now, or
I wanted
positive that's happened for you in the last few weeks in immigration?
Can I add one little thing to this?
Sure.
Does anybody else get unnerved with the idea of a stream of questions is going to fill up 45 minutes that they haven't predicted? Because I heard Jacob say that, and I know lawyers, and they like to prepare. Like, y'all like to know exactly what questions are going to be asked. Like, we remember, right? You're not supposed to ask a question you don't know the answer to when you're, so this is different. And I think that it's important to recognize that when you do something like a live stream, it is okay, like Bahar just said, to say, I do not know. None of us know. But that is information that they need too. Right? And it goes a little bit against our nature to say we do not know. And that is, I think, one of the things that holds lawyers back from doing something like social media or getting out there and being honest. But I think it's all right to realize that you don't have to know everything, and you can actually keep it to a very small answer sometimes. And not be afraid of that open. I get that too, you know. It's a lot easier to do a presentation when I know exactly what I'm going to be talking about than let's have it wide open. But it's also sort of freeing to have it wide open.
Right.
So I encourage you guys not be held back by that. Because that's I get that, but we don't have to know all the answers. And we can decline to not answer like all those questions in the stream, right?
And honestly, not knowing an answer is a helpful answer, because if somebody's coming to watch you or to listen to you or to take a consult from you based on your reputation and that you're an attorney, you saying, I don't know, makes them feel better. They understand that they're not going crazy. They don't have to go take another 1,000 consults because you're saying, I don't know, because nobody knows. I think that's as powerful of an answer than actually having an answer. And just say what the next steps are. I don't know. Nothing has been released yet. Last time this happened, this is the process it took. So maybe this will happen. Maybe this won't happen. If you have questions, call me. But I assure you that if something happens, I will keep you posted along with everybody else who are having this question. I think that you have to be strong and say that, and that makes people feel better because they can sit and know that they can trust you and rely on you and you're watching out for them.
Right.
Agreed.
So there is a question that is the current ban. Oh, Ify answered.
I just saw it while we were talking. I was like, oh.
This is one of the common questions that we get, that who is it affecting? It's not affecting anything, adjustment of status, so people who are in the country can proceed as normal. They can file their applications and petitions. The difference is there's no premium processing, at least for right now. It's been suspended. There's an interesting reason for that, because we called and we wanted to know, and they literally told us, virus lives on paper, we can't process it that fast. So for right now, and a lot of people are working from home, so their speed just, they can't meet premium processing speed, and they've instituted this policy. So us now understanding this very logical scientific reason, we know that when things start slowing down a little bit, we can file and add this premium processing to an existing application. So don't waste time and wait because you can't file separately. Break up the cases and move forward. Embassy processing is closed, and that I think affects a lot of Michelle's clients too, because when you want to get a visa issued, you actually have to be there to do an interview and do a live scan and give fingerprints, and they can't physically issue these visas. So some stuff is not as bad as it politically sounds, but there's hoops to jump through. So if you're in the country, there's still help. There's a lot of attorneys, take consults. I think that's where Jacob is getting his revenue from. And I think one thing that we didn't drill down on is that Jacob is taking paid consults. That's something that is not that common in the immigration space. Actually, I don't know if it's common or not. I've never done it. So usually people do free consults and charge a flat fee, but right now a lot of these cases are just consults. They're not questions. They just want to get something answered, and later on they might turn into cases. So you can monetize it now, or you can build that relationship and hope for the case later.
Yeah, I mean, we have to do paid consults because the volume of calls is impossible to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
So you have to basically set it. We always have like a tier. There's a discovery call, there's a consult with a senior attorney, but now everybody wants to have a particular info about their own case, so that has to be a consult. And it's not a very expensive call, it's only $75, but it's still, they get the one-on-one with the attorney and get the advice they need so they know what to do. Like, we have a lot of issues right now with people that have green cards and they're stuck overseas, they can't come back, and they're afraid they're gonna lose the 1 year. You know, they think they're gonna be abandoning their green card. So that's been a huge issue. I didn't realize it's a thing right now. So, you know, we told them a few things like, you know, if you have proof that you intended to return in the first place, if you have ties to the US, if you have all these things, the next time you can actually come back, you can show it to the port of entry and they should be able to be understanding. But that's been a huge thing. And people are, yeah.
That's a great example of an advice of that information not being anywhere, and you're making that inference and getting creative of other, like your existing knowledge that you have. So the lives and people asking you these questions are super helpful because they make you think about things that you never thought about. Like, for example, Charity teaching us this about putting a form in place of how to just take care of our cases. This is one of those things. You don't think about it, but
Right.
in that moment, you can think creatively on your feet and really earn that consultation fee, right?
You know, just one thing that if you mentioned something about the fees, the clients are not able to pay, and then that's something that we realized right away from the beginning. The clients are going to have issues. So what we did, we hired a call center to call all our clients. So we called all our clients in March, and basically it was basically a courtesy call. It says, listen, this is going to be a shutdown. This is a crisis. We know you're hurting. We are here for you. Our offices are open. We are not physically in the office. We do video calls. And so we called all our clients. Literally, it was a database of thousands of people. Every single one got a phone call from that call center. And at the end of the call, they said, listen, if you're going through the cases right now and you need to do renewals of 751s and 400s, you know, H-1Bs or whatever that is, we have a payment plan set up for you right now. Take advantage of it right now before everybody else will jump on it. We need to schedule into a payment plan. So everybody that chose to become part of the payment plan, we set them up into that payment plan, and they're paying twice a month or whatever we set up with them. So this way they first of all, they knew that we are proactive. They know they have to do it, right? Renew their green card, renew their whatever. But we gave them an option how to do it without them coming to us and begging for discounts or, so we did it before they even called us. You know what I mean? And that helped us a lot because now everybody's on a payment plan and only the new clients that we're trying to, you know, they are the ones saying, oh, give me a discount. And we work with them. We do a payment plan. But that's something that we have to, the key here is to be proactive, no matter what you do, whether it's payments, whether it's before they come to you.
So Jacob, there's a couple of questions that I'm assuming it's from our other panelists to you. Ify's asking you, what are some good social media marketing hashtags? And what are your thoughts?
There's no way I'm going to reveal it here. You have to kill me. I'm just kidding. So the question is hashtag ideas for social media. So who asked that question? So when you say hashtag ideas, I think the question should be, what is the strategy for social media that you have, that you need right now, right? So the strategy, so with social media, it's just kind of like, think about it. I always compare this to, imagine you're a new kid who comes to a class. Nobody knows you. You walk in, 40 kids that are watching you, and they are basically looking at you. And now you want to become the part of the class. You want to earn your reputation. It's the same thing on social media. You walk in. Do you have an Instagram account, Ify?
I do.
Do.
I do.
So, but you're not very active.
Not very. No, I just followed you.
So let's say you're now the new kid and you want to become one of the. So you have to basically do two things. What is going to be your niche? What's your strategy? And second of all, what are you trying to achieve? So like I said, in my case, my strategy is that I am an attorney who travels. All my feed is travel photo. Well, I can't travel now, unfortunately, but my feed is travel and inspiration. But in my bio, everybody knows that I'm an attorney, and I have a link that sends them to hire me to become an attorney, right? That's my strategy to spread my lifestyle, right? Now, by doing that, I connect with people. So for example, if I want to get a client who is a YouTuber, then I'm going to work with an attorney who sits behind his desk in New York with books and whatever. They want to work with an attorney who is kind of like them a little bit, right? Who doesn't wear suits or T-shirts and travel. So that's kind of my strategy with Instagram. I connect with my customers on Instagram. Maybe for you, Instagram is not your platform. Maybe you should be on YouTube. Maybe you should be on Facebook, doing Facebook Lives every week to the Nigerian community. I bet if I go on Facebook right now and I Google, I go on Facebook and I search Nigerian forums, I'm going to find a bunch of forums where Nigerians gather in New York, in Atlanta, whatever they are, and talk about living in the US. Why don't you become part of that forum and start answering questions? You know what I mean? And then once you do that, you set up your Facebook account and you start targeting those forums. You can do that easily with ads. You know what I mean? That's what I do. Like if I want to target, I'll give you an example. There was an immigration attorney maybe 5 years ago that was bad-mouthing me behind my back. And I heard about it. I have no issues with that. I can say whatever you want. But it got to the point where he would specifically reach out to particular clients and he would say bad things. So what I did, I decided to target on Facebook his pages, his websites. I was retargeting him like crazy. Do you understand what retargeting is? Anybody who goes to his website, who then goes back to Facebook, I was able to find these people and I retargeted with my own content. And I would do a video every single day. I would say, this is Jacob, I'm da-da-da-da. And if you work with the attorney so-and-so, he's a great guy, but here's what I do different than him. I wouldn't say anything bad about him. And literally for a month, his clients were getting my videos. And eventually he called me and he literally asked me to stop doing this. And he apologized for what he was doing. And the point is, you can do whatever you want on Facebook. You have a lot of power, right? So for you, I think you should be on Facebook, not on Instagram. Just because if you're going to start doing Instagram, you're going to get frustrated that it doesn't work and you're going to stop doing it. Facebook for you is the tool. You can literally set up a video. And here's a strategy that I teach other attorneys. You create 4 videos. Each video is 2 minutes long, right? The first video is basically talking about, hey, this is what's happening right now on COVID-19 and immigration. Here's what you have to know. You don't sell anything. You just talk for 2 minutes. Then people are going to watch this video. 25% of the people that watch the video, you're going to target them and send them another video. You're going to make another video and you target the people who watch your first video. And the second video is going to be a follow-up. By the way, in the first video, I talked about COVID-19. Now I'm going to talk about what you can get as unemployment as an immigrant. The third video, you're going to start saying, listen, my name is Jacob Sapochnik. You watch my other videos. I'm an immigration attorney, and here's what I do. In this video, you can download a free checklist that will teach you how to do whatever. Now you got their email addresses. The fourth video is going to call them to call you for a consultation. You watch all my videos because every time every video targets more people that saw your other videos. The people who watch your fourth video, they're 100% into you. That's like people on Tinder who not that I'm on Tinder. I'm happily in a relationship, but when I was back in the day, the people who are, the people that watch your fourth video, they're 100% into you. And then you can tell them, listen, you watch all my content. I want to talk to you. Click the link below. Let's book a one-on-one consultation where I can talk just to you. You make the camera close to your face like this and you say, I want to talk to you. And boom, that's all you have to do. Do this for a month and then call me and see what happens. Trust me.
So do you post the 4 videos in the one day or just over the...
No, so the videos are posted over a period of 2 weeks because you need to have the first video gather data. Who is watching that first video? 25%. Why are they watching you? Is it because they're Nigerian? Is it because they are immigrants? Is it because they are bored and they have nothing else to do? We don't know why, but the data will come, right? So once you have the data, you do a second video and you target only the people who watch the first video. By the time you get to the fourth video, these people want to talk to you. They've been watching 4 of your videos every single day. They have Netflix. They watch your videos, right? And then the fourth video is a simple video, 1 minute. Hey, you've been watching my videos, da, da, da. I want to help you. So in this, click below. It will take you to the consultation page with me. Where we're going to go through what's happening right now with strategy, blah, blah, blah. I did that video when Israel first started E2 visas. And you may appreciate it, Michelle, because the movement of Israelis between. And so I did 4 videos and I sent them and I targeted Israel. And I just did this. And I'm from Israel, so I spoke in Hebrew. And I said, here, da, da. And then by the time we had the 4th video, I sent them from the 4th video to sign up through WhatsApp. Because Facebook owns WhatsApp, right? And you can so suddenly getting WhatsApp messages from people who watch my video and say, we want to get a consultation. And so videos took me 2 hours to create. I spent about $1,500 on ads to target those people. And I got 4 E2 visas from that campaign. Each E2 visa is about $15,000 that we charge. That was a pretty good investment, right? So Facebook is definitely where you want to be, right? Instagram, I think, is for somebody who's more, you have more time to engage with people one-on-one. I have 2 people who answer the DMs on Instagram. People will send me a DMs. I don't have to do it myself. I don't have time to do it. But the DMs are personal, where people, because I have a large page, more people can come and see me, and they send me DM. As you grow your following, and second of all, after you do Facebook, do YouTube, and that's it. That's all you have to do. If that's the only 2 things you're going to do, there's no way you're not going to survive this crisis and thrive. And I tell this to every single attorney that I talk to, immigration attorneys, because immigration attorneys who are not doing well right now, they're people who are proud. They used to have a lot of clients. They used to have the phone ring. They used to have referrals. And the crisis is a psychological crisis too, right? It's not just the financial crisis. Psychological crisis is people are scared to pay money. But why would they pay me? They want to work with me because, not just me personally, but they want to work with somebody who is there, sitting there and telling them it's going to be okay. A lot of my videos, I'm just talking and saying, you know what? It's going to be okay. We're going to make it. It's going to be fine. And that's really why I had a consultation yesterday for 1 hour. The lady was talking to me just about how she's scared. That's all. It wasn't even immigration related. We talked about the visas for like 10 minutes. And then it was all about what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And I'm just listening to her and I'm giving her the attention she deserves. And I say, you know what? Who knows? We're all in this together. It's going to work out eventually. Right? So that's where, because right now we're all contracting instead of giving it away, give all the information away. We've done videos where we teach people how to fill the I-130, right? Nobody's going to do it themselves, but I did a video. That video has like 180,000 views, right? Because I just gave it away. But people pay for access. They don't pay for information, right? That's why a lot of attorneys are so back in the 90s, because they think that people are paying for their consultations. We're paying for access to speak to the attorney, right? Content is everywhere. You can find on Google how to file an adjustment of status. You can find on Google how to do everything. What they're paying you is to be there for them, to call them every day, to answer their emails, to text them back when they ask you a question. You know what I mean? That's why clients are paying for us. They're not paying for information anymore. So I think, I mean, that's what I would do. If I was actually gonna start a challenge where I would start a whole new practice area that I've never tried to start, you know, like I don't know, trademarks. And I would be starting from zero and building a new practice in 30 days and documenting the whole process. I'm gonna do that.
Can I do that with you? I will give you the technology instead of call centers and all of these places. I will give you the automated backend so you don't even need that much staff. But I'm really interested and curious to collaborate with you to do this launch, because I have this idea and I built this robotic law firm and this is what we give to people. But the thing that I always say to people, that is, if you want to build a robotic law firm or something that earns you recurring revenue, like a product, you have to understand that you're no longer in the practice of law, you're in the business of law, and you have to do marketing. And doing that is, everything that you're saying sounds simple because you've gone through the process and figured it out and tested it and gotten results. Like how you said you relayed your fourth video back to your first video. These are things that marketing companies are doing. And I think for our generation of lawyers, this is a skill set that you have to develop and have. Like creativity is no longer like something that only artists have. It's today's currency. To make it through today's times, we have to be creative. So I would love to collaborate with you and build this course.
We should do like another session if maybe other attorneys want to learn, because we just talked about marketing, but we haven't even talked about the automation that we have.
No.
You can do marketing as much as you want. If you don't have a system to capture those leads and close them and follow up with them, then it doesn't matter. You can have marketing. I mean, people spend thousands of dollars on marketing. How many attorneys we know that is, I spend this SEO company, I paid him $15,000, nothing's working. It's not working because your firm is not automated. Automation means what happens from the moment the lead comes to your website and until you close them. It's the whole cycle. Like they go through a whole series of nurturing. And
actually, it's until you close the case and then what happens after. Because now, imagine if you have good automation and good technology in place. So first of all, some of these questions and issues on your cases, the system will notify you. So we can go and set a filter and see whoever's visa expires by this time and is in the country, show me that case list and let's go from there. Then you're managing your full caseload. So yes, the closing of the lead, like this is the business part that's missing, and you have to nurture and work and be organized. Closing in terms of sales and the client, you have to be organized and have a good follow-up process. But even beyond that, when you close a client, you close a case for a client, let's say who came here for an investment visa. They have a business now. Now this is a person you build a relationship with. They need intellectual property. They need incorporations. They need employment support. They need contracts. Whether you're the one who's gonna like diversify and start offering these or not, they have this help. So now you can refer them to other people to make sure your client is protected. Or you can get in the template business and just give them some stuff like $100 here's an NDA for your company. Just make sure you're protected and don't have these conversations. It comes back to educating and sharing information, but this remarketing is also on your existing clients and your past clients.
Right. Yeah, so there's so much to talk about. I mean, again, immigration attorneys have to reinvent themselves right away. And that's kind of, for example, a simple reinvention is a client calls and says, I can't afford your services, but we can say, well, you can't afford our services, but we have a new service we just started during COVID-19, and that's a review service. So you can do it yourself, but we'll review it for X amount of dollars. And so, and then they basically upload their paperwork on our portal, and the attorney will review the paperwork 48 hours, and then they get our comments. So we had a lot of people want to use that. They cannot afford an attorney to file their adjustment, but they'll pay us $750 to review their file. Do you know what I mean? Why not? I mean, that's another revenue stream if we can. So different things like that you need to kind of adapt to what you can do, what other needs people need right now, right? So if you're trying to schedule an appointment and you can't, maybe as a service to help you follow up with an embassy or whatever that is. We have to try to think different, because it's never going to be the same anymore. Whatever we used to before March is going to be different from now on. And working remotely and dealing with your staff and issues with clients, updates, and all this is a different world. And I think, who knows what's going to happen, right? I have no answers. But, oops.
Sorry, I just wanted to say, just be creative and make it up as you go. We're all on the same boat. And
We can do a part 2 of this, right?
Yeah, yes. We will get offline after this. You and I will talk about this course, and we'll do another one on both like front end and back end automation. Because part of the reason why a lot of law firms don't do marketing or don't have technology is because they don't have the resources, because they're spending all of the resources to hire human employees, and they don't have enough margins in their revenue to spend on other things. Again, it all comes back to the business of law and how we look at technology as an investment instead of just, oh, I don't want to manage my taxes or I have to control my employees. It's not about control, it's about strategy, and it's about growth in an innovative way. Like the existing structure of law firms, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, is gonna go away. We're living in a new world. I don't know what it's gonna look like anymore. I used to have this clear picture of what the future was, but I don't know what it's gonna be, but it's not this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you, everyone. I know some of you didn't talk as much as maybe Jacob and I are the loud ones, but it was really, I'm really glad that I got to have you guys and have these different perspectives. We'll do another one. I'll connect with you guys offline because there are some things that I'm thinking through. I already work with Dobrina a little bit. I already work with Michelle a little bit. So I'm excited to have you guys and add you to my network as well. If there's any questions, if you have anything for each other, go ahead. If not, I'll share everybody's information so you guys can connect as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, stay
Thank
positive.
you, everyone.
Bye. Stay safe.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.